Good evening, everyone. I think I am live. I should be. Am I? Yep. Looks like I'm live. Let's see if I can actually see the comments and everything. How's everyone doing this evening? I am continuing my journey of making mugs and more mugs. Never seems to get old. So today there's no spinning as such. Well, I hope to do some spinning today, but work calls. Have to make mugs first. I have been working on attaching the bottoms of these mugs today, off and on, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I have like around 18 mugs to work on, attaching these bottoms on them. And can you even hear me? Let me see if my volume is going through. It should be going through. So, hey Casper. Can everyone see Casper? Give me the bath, Casper. You dirty dog. Yes, you dirty dog. Go night night. Go night night in your bed. No, not interested. So all my mugs are hand built from slabs. So it's all like I've made all the parts and now it is all attaching them together. It almost kind of like feels like sculpting each mug at a time almost sometimes. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. The ones who have been joining me again and again probably can do this by now. Thank you for all the patrons who have been contributing and making these live streams possible, and also giving me the company most of all. Which makes it a lot more fun making this work, hanging out with everyone. So feel free to ask questions, anything you need to know about my process. Reconnection successful. Okay, hold on just a second. Hold on. Hi Katie, thanks for joining in. Since when have you been following my work? For years means, well, I've been making mugs or my pottery, selling my pottery for like 17 years now. So, is it before I got into knitting? Hey Charles, I haven't seen you in a very long time, Charles. Have you been busy or just haven't been available when I go live? Mostly busy. Yeah, I really don't have a fixed schedule. Every time I think that I will come up with a fixed schedule, like I thought that I'll do for sure twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Tuesdays in the morning, Thursdays in the evening. I had I thought that would be my New Year resolution, but no. It's just that sometimes means I go more than that live in a week, but the scheduling thing it doesn't work with me. Not that I'm not disciplined, it's just that sometimes I don't feel like going live, and sometimes I do feel like going live. So I don't want to just go live because I have it on my calendar. I would rather go live when I want to be on live, right? So, and Charles is one of our Patreon supporters. He's been a Patreon supporter from the very start. So, thank you so much for that, Charles. He has been giving me brilliant company through several of my streams, right? I think around Thanksgiving and stuff is when you probably got busy, and I think I was posting more in the morning than in my evening times. So, have you been spinning lately, Charles, or have you been knitting? Anything exciting on the needles? I know you accomplished quite a few projects in 2020. Have any big plans for 2021? We are only talking about fiber arts here. So, fiber arts or clay arts, whatever, mostly knitting, that's good. I did finish my socks recently, which I'm super happy about. Um, every when I got into spinning, well, first I actually got into weaving. We're slowly working on fox paws. Yeah, that's a very slow pattern for me as well. I actually knit up around uh, 26 inches of it or so. Casper is barking at the neighbors. So I knit up like around 26 inches of the fox paws, and I gave up. Means not give up in the sense, but I was just not getting to it again. And so what I didn't actually do anything with it yet, but I have, I sent it with my wife when she went to her trip to India to give it to her mom, who I instructed to cut it up and sew it up and use a different backing or whatever and make a tunic or something for her because it's big enough for that. Um, I said she's done some pretty creative stuff with designing clothes and stuff. So I said, okay, here's a challenge. Make something out of this. So it's been around 2 or maybe 3 years that she's had it. She's not done anything with it yet. But I'm hoping some inspiration will strike her and she can do something with it. But yeah, it just goes so slow. I was talking about my sock knitting. Um, I wanted to first, my like I knit and then I wanted to weave, but the weaving thing actually took a sharp turn into spinning more than I even wanted to. I was like, why would I want to spin? Because there's just so much yarn. Why bother spinning? But once you start spinning, you just get bitten by that bug so bad that then you can't stop spinning. And among all the kinds of spinning I did, and I made traditional yarns. I've done sweater spins and all that kind of fun stuff. The one thing which I could never wrap my head around was sock yarn spinning. Like I've done art yarns and all kinds of complex stuff too. Like I like spinning complex yarns. But sock yarn I always felt was like I felt it was so unnecessary to spin because I felt that it's available commercially. Some pretty good sock yarn. Now why would one want to spin? And it's not like it's going to be a quick spin, right? If it's a quick spin, yeah, sure, spin it, check it out. No, you have to spin fine. It's going to take a significant amount of time. You have to have enough yardage, and then that whole thing, whether your hand spun yarn is going to be up to the test of the wear um, sock yarn takes. So that part was always like, I don't want to spin for socks. But when I received the Maja Craft Aura wheel as part of my artisan residence with Fibery Goodness, I was like, maybe I should try. Since the wheel, like I spun the art yarns, I spun, my regular default yarns, and I was like, well, the wheel does have the capacity to go from your very thick bulky art yarns, and it can spin as fine as embroidery thread. And I know that because I saw Susie Brown post pictures of her embroidery thread that she spun on the wheel recently, and it is amazing. So I'm like, if it can spin that fine, maybe I can try spinning for socks. Let's see if it's, if I can actually do it. And so that's what got me started on saying, okay, let's spin for socks. And then, settle that debate whether, oh, is handspun good enough for socks or not, and whether a traditional three ply is better or a chain ply looks so good in colors, but is it really strong enough? Do the bumps of a chain ply really affect the wear, and will it wear out fast, and all of that stuff? So I was like, the only way to really find out all those things. Yes, you can read books. Sarah Anderson has some really cool experiments on sock knitting with different yarn structures in her book, The Spinner's Design Book. I think that's the title of the book, but I'm sure if you're a spinner, you know which book I'm talking about. But yeah, so you can read about it and make conclusions based on that, but it's like, if you want to try and challenge yourself to do something new in spinning, this is a good thing to try. So I said, okay, let's spin for socks, make a traditional three ply, make a chain ply, see which looks good, see which wears better, see which one, makes a hole in it first. And according to Sarah Anderson's book, the traditional three ply and the chain ply, for her, they developed holes in them approximately the same time. So it wasn't much difference. The difference was that the chain ply one made the hole bigger a lot sooner, whereas the traditional one kind of, it was a small hole, but it didn't grow so quickly as the chain ply one. So, but for me, I'm thinking, well, if I see the hole, if I can repair it soon enough, then that shouldn't matter. But we'll see. You know, everyone wears their sock differently, and she develops the holes at her heels. I usually develop holes in my toes. So if I even do have to repair them, repairing toes is a lot easier. I can just pick up stitches and knit another toe. And I've done that a few times. So we'll see whether that actually works. And usually if you're doing like an afterthought heel or something like that, that works pretty well too. But I didn't do an afterthought heel. I did a heel with a gusset increase, top down gusset heel socks. So it won't be as simple as doing a short row afterthought heel on those. You've heard of two ply and then ply the third, which has been swung in the opposite direction. Yes, I've heard of that as well. I think it's called like opposing ply, and strength is good, but I think what's really cool about that sock yarn is the elasticity. It's like a very springy and stretchy yarn, which would be really good for socks. So yes, that's another aspect. Now the other thing, which is almost you would imagine it's, yes, definitely really good strong yarn, is a 4-ply cable, in which you take 2 plies, spin them together, 2 plies, spin them together, add extra twist to them, and then you spin both of them together, so you get a 4-ply, and it's like a very, very beautiful looking yarn. And it's definitely very strong because there's less abrasion, there's less of the yarn that is exposed, so it makes a very strong yarn. but I just received a message from another spinner and knitter that a four-ply cable, even though it's a very strong yarn, it's not necessarily a very elastic yarn. And I have noticed that too because I have spun this yarn before, and every time I thought that my four-ply cable was just like very ropey and didn't have like, I just thought I was putting maybe too much twist or something of that sort, and that could be the case. But it definitely didn't feel very elastic, and that's what made me think that okay, so if it's not very elastic, then maybe it is not the best for socks as such. For the strength, yes, it is, but lack of elasticity, maybe not. However, it would be really cool to knit a sock out of, your three ply or kind of like the opposing ply which you're talking about, Charles, where you have a two ply and the third ply added in, spun in the opposite direction of the first two, and have that for the entire sock except the toes and the heels made out of the cable ply, because you don't need much stretch in the toes or anything, or you kind of do, but you know let those be like the more hard wearing sock yarn that you have knit, and the rest of it you can do a traditional three ply or do a Navajo or whatever. And I think this is something which even Alana Wilcox has experimented with, or she's working on a sock like that, in which the toes and heels, the parts that wear out more, have been knit with the four ply cable. So this is coming back to the pottery. This is one of my lace mounts. Will it focus? Sometimes it doesn't want to focus. I don't know why. What's happening with my camera suddenly? I'm going to let's see, deactivate it and then activate it again. There you go. Now it's focusing. It does these weird things sometimes, and it's just started doing it, and it does it only through the OBS software. And I was so happy with this camera, and all of a sudden it started being picky. I even recommended this camera to several people. Now, if you hang around longer, maybe you'll get a glimpse into some of a new trial that I'm working on. Actually, I'm not sure if I'm still ready to show it yet because it's work in progress, and I'm trying not to make conclusions right now because I made conclusions on its texture and everything 3 days back, and I thought I have to redo the whole thing again. And I purchased all my materials I needed again to make my textured pattern and spend another 3-4 hours on it. And I didn't even go through the entire steps, but I went through my first pattern again and noticed that actually the first pattern is kind of fine. It's not as bad as I thought. So I said the best way to find out is to actually make a mug with that pattern, glaze it, fire it, like let it go through the entire steps to figure out if it's actually going to work. If it is, good. If not, then we can work on the next pattern, because there's a lot of investment of my time that goes into making new patterns, and I've been working on this since November, because I was like, oh, new year, new pattern, and I'm still working on it. It's not there yet. These things just take time. Anyone want to guess what the new pattern is? Oh, and I also heard there's a really good article in the Ply magazine, which also has a lot of information on Sokya. So I don't subscribe to the magazine. I have several issues of it, but previous issues. I need to get that particular issue and read up on the Sokya. Yeah, no rush with the shows. Yeah, the the shows thing is weird. I The start of the year was not good. Again, this year, I didn't expect things to change drastically because it was 2021. But at the same time, I think it was like on the 4th or 5th of January itself, um, we received email about a show that happens in July is cancelled. Like, means I get it. It's too soon to say whether the vaccine's available. Organizers have to book these places in advance, and you know, all that stuff needs to happen. However, I would have kind of hoped like this news came a little later and not like at the very start of the year. So that was kind of a big bummer, which kind of makes me think that okay, if a show in June is not happening, then you know, my next shows after that are all like in October, September, which usually that's the time when those shows are, and that sounds like time for fall again with the flu season again and everything. So who knows how that's gonna go on. So looks like 2021 is gonna be almost like 2020. Let's hope not though. God, connection is again like. Yeah, I heard even the retreat is on hold. Okay, I tried a different Wi-Fi connection. Hopefully this is better. Um, I know I keep getting dropped off or something weird is happening today. So let me know if you can still hear me. I'm still connected. View count is, of course, all mixed up. I only paused. Okay, so yeah, I saw the message which Michael sent out regarding the retreat being on hold currently. So we'll just have to wait and see, I guess. It's not only the thing about, okay, if they say the retreat can be open, it's all the people who want to travel and come there and all of that. Oh, you want a green and purple mug in this batch? Sure, Diana, I can make you one. I have a few extra mugs in this batch, finally. Till my last firing, which I did last week, I was still fulfilling Christmas orders, and there are still some in here which are going towards Christmas orders. So these are the people who ordered on the 24th, so they are waiting for their stuff. But I have the 16-ounce mugs. So which size mug would you like? The same size that you have, Diana? I can do that. The green and purple. So if you want this big jumbo size, then I can do this, or I can do the 16-ounce. I personally like the smaller size ones. I think these are just way too big. But why should I stop you from getting a bigger mug? Bigger mug, more money, right? You want big jumbo? Okay, fine then. Yeah, the big jumbo. I froze again. I don't know what's happening. Sorry, connecting and pausing. So okay, so I should be back online. Yeah, it does remind me of the internet and the good old times. But hopefully now it's fine. You should be able to see me now. I see I have a full green light here, but that can change every now and then. It's like evenings. I think that's the reason why I usually don't come in on the evenings, because on the evenings I have trouble with the connection more often. But I should keep that in mind and actually make a note if it's worse during the evenings versus daytime. Because it seems like I have been going live for the last 1 month, but mostly during the daytime, and it's been fine. And I just realized I'm going live in the evening for quite some time, and today after a long time, and I've been having connection issues again. Yeah, virtual classrooms is a whole other thing. I have enjoyed some virtual classrooms very much actually. I did take a real good one yesterday. Everyone's at home streaming Netflix and playing video games. Exactly. They should be watching me instead. So yeah, I was talking about the class I took yesterday. Um, I hope Alana offers it again. I would highly recommend it. It's for the organized spinner, and it might be one of those things that only geeky people really enjoy, but I definitely enjoyed it. It is really to get your spinning organized. Um, it is a little bit of a daunting task because it's like facing the truth about how much stash you have, how much you can spin in a day, uh, which leads to how many hours are in a day, how many hours are left in your lifetime for spinning, which translates into how many pounds of fiber do you really have, do you really need till your, last dying days. Yeah, for everyone it's going to be different, but I don't want to calculate that because according to the class, I think last year itself I purchased enough fiber to last me till I was 80, 90 years old. So it's yeah, and it's good to have a choice. That's what me. I said I don't know. I just want to have it all with me to know what I want to do with it. But but other than just being organized in that sense, like, dude, you have so much fiber, you don't need any more fiber. It's also got to do a lot with how to actually organize your projects and everything. So if you need to recollect what you did before, what you want to redo again, things like, well, how much fiber it took me to spin my socks. Of course, 4 ounces, I would always remember that yes, I purchased 4 ounces and everything. But the record keeping in the sense that, okay, how did I spin these socks? There was a traditional three ply, my results from the experiments, which one I like more, which one wears out faster. Then how much exactly fiber did I land up using in the socks? Because I didn't use up all of my yarn. Out of 110 grams, I still have 35 grams left over. So if I do a 4 ply sock next, and that leads to, a conclusion that I need actually more fiber or less fiber or whatever, it'll give me an idea as to, how much fiber I would need next time to spin the kind of socks I need. You can apply those same things for knitting a sweater. Suppose, like, I have knitted a sweater, I have swatches for it, I have all the information for it, I know how much fiber I had purchased, and you know I have all that information. So when I'm ready for my next um, experiment, I can actually go like, okay, I actually need this much fiber, it should be enough. Similarly, I could get it down to, oh, I want to purchase, a fleece to knit a sweater out of. Then I can make conclusions as to, well, this was a coated fleece, and after washing, carding, and everything, I lost so much weight. So this is how much fiber I have. Is this enough for me to make a sweater? So once I have those numbers, I can feel comfortable about how much fiber to buy next time, or what size fleece do I want. And it's it is a little extra work, but I have never had a problem with you know getting all geeky with having all that information anyway. And so I anyway make a record of it. But she had some cool tricks on how to keep it a lot more organized, and things you can look up. Yeah, it's the engineer in me. I have to have all the data points with me. And I even told her, I said, I don't know why I need all this information. Like when you do your next sweater, I said, yeah, even when I do my next sweater, it's going to be a while till I'm doing my fifth sweater, and I will still need to look at these notes, right? Like, you always buy extra just in case. Yeah, dyers keep detail. Like, if you look at, like, I don't consider myself a dyer because I rarely sell. Like, I've sold few of my braids when, I just posted on Facebook that, yeah, I dyed this, and someone had said, okay, I have to have it, then I'll sell it. But most of the time, I just dye for myself. But even though I'm dyeing just for myself, I have some very detailed notes about my dye formulas, and not just the formulas, but how I dyed my fiber, how I laid my fiber on the table, where I placed all the dye colors, whether I steamed it, whether I did a low water immersion dye, whether I hand painted it and then steamed it, whether I dyed it in a braided form, whether I dyed it laying out flat. Like, there is so much information you can put in there, which changes a lot of things. Like, I always thought that I like kind of the randomized look of um, low immersion dyeing, but it works well for me if I was using superwash because it strikes right away. When I'm using, I mostly dye non-superwash fiber, so it just um, the non-superwash wash, the colors just keep getting muddled together, and I never get that crisp colors in it. So I've stopped low immersion dyeing. But you wouldn't know that until I dyed several times, and especially if I didn't take notes, I wouldn't remember it. You're ADD and you never want to repeat something. Yeah, and actually, it's interesting you say that, Diana, because Alana has the same issue. She also has a little bit of ADD in her, and for her, because she doesn't want to repeat something, that's why she finds it even more necessary to keep notes. Say for stuff that you didn't like, and you don't want to spend your time repeating a mistake or repeating something which you know you didn't like. So you can look at it in any different, many different ways as to. And plus, for her, so there was this thing about just having the information for a project. That's one thing. But the other aspect of it was um, like keeping your eye on the goal so that you are an organized spinner as to how to keep a queue and stuff, which would help someone like her and maybe like you too, that she's like, I don't want to hop from project to project because you have that ADD thing that you're just like can't stay with something or anything. But her queuing method and everything is kind of nice to put it all together. Yes, and Ravelry is a great stash organizer as well. But see, it's like, again, it comes to, different people as to how they do things. Um, like me, for example, I sometimes dive deep down into like just having the information as to the fiber is not enough because I would have dyed it in a different way, I would have spun it in a different way. There's a lot of information to put into Ravelry, and you want to link to different patterns you used, you want to link to the dyes that you used in dyeing the fiber. Maybe I want to link to a video in which helped me figure out how to do a particular stitch in the knitting, or a technique which showed me how to dye the fiber the way I wanted to dye, or a video in which how I spin a particular kind of thing. So, so it was all like kind of taking it all into Excel and kind of having all those aspects of your project all in one place and everything linked together. Because Ravelry also it has its limitations. It's nice to just put your stash in there, like just putting everything there, but it's a little harder when you want to kind of organize your projects. I don't need to code. No, it's not even stash. It's like more like project management. So, and that's what the Excel spreadsheet which she talks about, and I have used them before as well, and I've used them for my die experiments. I've used them for some of my spinning experiments as well. Um, but that's what she kind of brings in. So you kind of it's more about project management, which kind of helps you with being more organized with your spinning projects. So because yeah, stash is kind of easy in the sense like yeah, you can just plug it all into Ravelry and it's there. But I think once it comes to being creative and you're going through your stash and you're thinking what am I going to use this for, like assigning it to projects and then how you're going to use it in the projects and you want to add so much more information to it, it gets kind of hard to do it all on Ravelry. Yeah, so it's stuff like that. Like, if you have that Excel spreadsheet in which you have kept your pattern repeats for this sweater that you're knitting, uh, that's good. But imagine that same Excel spreadsheet had information on the fiber that you used, how you spun it, how you figured out your gauge, and how much yarn you ultimately landed up using for it, how much you had to spin, because you also don't want to endlessly keep knitting and spinning for something which does not even require that much yarn. But so if you have this information beforehand, you can kind of take advantage of it, I think. I don't know, it's all visual thinking too, because it does take time to be that organized, and that does take away time from the spinning and everything else. But I kind of enjoy having that part um, organized as well, because I have like even for dyeing, right? When I've been dyeing fiber or yarn or whatever, I've always kept very detailed notes, because first of all, when I'm learning, I kind of want to keep notes, because I don't want to be repeating these same things over and over again, because stuff adds up, like the cost of fiber and everything. Like every time I go to dye, if I don't know how exactly I dyed before, and if I want to repeat the same thing again, if I don't have the notes with me, it's like I have to start from scratch again. And if it doesn't turn out, then I have to repeat and try again and try again. But even if it was just this one experiment which I did once, if I just kept notes on it, and I could go ahead and repeat that. And say I dyed some fiber which I really love the way it spun, and I like the way I knit a hat out of it, and it just had all the properties that I would like in a sweater. I would kind of want that information of how I dyed that fiber, so I can dye maybe different colors or whatever, but I would want it for the sweater, but I kind of want that information now. I don't want to spend time experimenting, dyeing all over again. Alright, three more mugs. One, two, three. And that's kind of what my take is. And like I said, you don't have to take it to that extent. and then you fall in love with feminism and stuff. Exactly, there are just so many aspects to everything. But, you know, and sometimes the mill is still making fiber, but then the sheep is not making that fiber anymore. Like Dorothy the sheep is no longer making the same kind, or she died and her siblings are not good enough or whatever. But now, if you get another fiber blend from that person, you could try that same set of experiments on that new fiber blend to see whether it all works and whether you like it. You're not including another set of new experiments to do with a new set of fiber to do, and then everything changing. So you can kind of change one aspect of it at a time. It's all about being organized. So, and again, it's not for everyone. There are there are some of us weirdos who love that stuff. I'm not trying to even convince anyone that, oh, this is what you should do, because it's a process, and it's a process you really have to enjoy. I haven't gone down the rabbit hole of natural dyes yet. And I think one of the reasons is like, I don't, for me, when I think about natural dyes, I feel, I have to procure all this natural material and all of that. And not that I'm not a nature person or anything, it just feels like too much stuff to get into. Like, and also the thing is, sometimes it's not like I like to master something before moving on to the next thing. It's like I feel that is so much more I need to try out with even just the acid dyes, that I feel if I just jump onto something else, I feel I've not even completed the things that I want to do here. So that's what that exhaustion of, once I get tired of acid dyes, I'll be like, okay, I'm done. I kind of don't want to do this anymore. Then, yeah, I would like to try that sometime. But currently, I have no plans. But I will never say never, because who knows, this summer, that's the route I might be taking. These are the lace patterns. Does it focus? The period is not focusing again. Okay, I'm going to try this again where I go blank and then it focuses. Say this camera has started troubling me. Then I'll get into tatting and wood burning. I have tried little wood burning on gods. Tatting I haven't. My mom has done a lot of tatting, and I've seen people do it. Mm, It's just, it's too tiny. Yeah, there is a lot of natural dye resources here, but that's what it's like right now. I haven't given it a thought because right now there is no space in the brain for it. As far as dyes is concerned, there is quite a bit of stuff I want to try in dyeing still. And in addition to that, there is a lot of stuff I want to experiment with, making bats and making art bats and making subsequent art yarns, which gets to the whole artist in residence program. So, there's just so much spinning and stuff to be done. Like, where am I supposed to insert the dyeing with natural dyes. So let's wait till spring and summer when the weather gets better and I feel the need of trying something new. Then yeah, and I like to switch to new things every now and then because then you just get exhausted doing the same thing over and over again. Yeah, but that's what it is. It's like there is the thing about what gets me excited about natural dyeing is actually going out into the nature and getting the natural materials and dyeing rather than purchasing, your natural dyes in a packet and then using them. Because then, to me, that is kind of just like doing acid dyeing. So I don't find uh, much excitement in that. So if I were to try natural dyes, I want it to be like natural dyes. Like people dye with lichen or lichen, how do you say it? And then with onion peel. I've tried a little bit of onion peel dyeing, and then there was that was part of a guild meeting or something. So it's not like I really did. Yeah, that's what I imagine. Natural dyes are like raku. That makes sense. Though I have to admit, I've never been a big fan of raku. And I like certain glazes and stuff in raku, but not most. Because uh, raku for me, it's the functionality part of it, which I like to make functional pots. I don't like pots to be just decorative. So raku is just decorative pottery. Yeah, Kathy has done some classes, and I have the very first retreat I went to. I did take her indigo dyeing class, and still have the T-shirt and the yarn. I haven't used that yarn or anything. I probably should. So we did some good resist dyeing and stuff with indigo. But see, that's what the thing was. It was like kind of all prepared in a big vat, and we just an indigo vat. It's called, right? Yeah, and it was fun. But I kind of want there to be more of a process, maybe. I don't know why. I feel then it'll feel like natural dyeing to me. That I can say that, hey, I went into the forest and I got this and I dyed this with that. You know, it's not a must. I'm curious to know, how strong the dyes stay on fiber and on the fiber with natural dyes. Plan dyeing. Yes. You're sending me links now to distract me. No rabbit holes. Can't afford any more rabbit holes. The boys, bugs, and blenders class. Oh, that sounds interesting. I don't think I'd come to the retreat when that happened. Means I think Ever since I started coming, the very first time I came in, she had done the indigo dyeing class, and after that, she's not done a natural dyeing class at the retreat. Because I think after that we had Sultana Charania doing the sweater class, and then we had some other classes, but yeah, I don't. I think I've seen her at Makers a few times. Could you take your own boy home? You should ask Charles that. I wasn't there, so I don't know what was involved in that class. Alright, this was the last mug. Uh, the new pattern mugs. I thought I was ready to show you guys, but I'm not because I don't know whether it's going to be a thing. So I kind of, because I've gone back and forth on it several times, and until they are glazed, I will not know whether this is actually working. So I don't want to get anyone's hopes up. We'll just have to wait. Sorry. Boys equals men at the men's retreat. Yeah. All right. Later tonight, I need to add buttons to the mugs as well. Oh, nice red and pink. Yeah, see, that's the kind of workshop I want to take, where they actually do stuff like that. Anyway, I need to sign off. But thank you for joining me, Charles, Anna, chatting with me, and making the time go by fast. So maybe then I might go live again tonight when I do the buttons if I find them extremely boring to do, which can happen. So we'll see you then. Alright, take care. Good night.